it many, many times, man.
Yeah, it's gross.
So you're friends with Kevin Booth?
I'm friends with Kevin Booth.
He and I have been trading emails back and forth
Good.
about a bunch of different things.
Yeah, no, Kevin's really cool. We, it's weird. I was, I don't know, about a year and a half ago, I was starting to like write some comedy stuff, and I wrote like a Hicks piece, and it was really weird. I just like hadn't really heard of him, and like I picked a CD out of like a bargain bin for like $1, you know, at like a chain store. Yeah, it was just like somebody special ordered it and never picked it up.
He was a very funny guy.
Dude, so I picked up this CD, and me and my friend, we would always like go, flea marketing on the weekends and stuff, and so I'd just bring comedy records to listen to for the drives, and it was great. I wrote this piece, and I've been wanting to do a book, and so I approached Kevin about like doing an official, biography and get like the family behind it and stuff. There are so many people who are like interested in that story and want to write books and interview him. It's insane.
Well, you know what? It's a really sad thing, but when someone dies, that's what happens.
Yeah.
It's really fucking sad, man, but that is the case. When someone dies, that's how they're treated. They're, especially someone dies who has a message like Bill did and who really wants to say something. He really wanted to say something.
Yeah, well, he did,
No, he certainly did. But what I'm saying is that, they don't fucking realize until after the guy's gone. When he was alive, the difference between him and Dennis Leary was that Dennis Leary took Bill's ideas, he stole them, and he kind of made them a little more palatable for the general consensus or the general population, because he did it sort of as like a character. And he did it as this crazy guy, fucking smoke, I don't care. And he had like he took like the least controversial of Hicks's ideas, the things that were just kind of ironic, like the idea of, Yul Brynner doing a commercial about cancer, like all those things.
Right.
Hicks stole, or Leary rather, stole all that shit from Hicks, all of it. All the smoking shit, he stole all that shit from Hicks. Everyone knows it.
Yeah.
Every fucking stand-up comic knows that. And it's really sad, but people didn't want to hear the real version of it, because it's fucking difficult to hear a guy telling the truth. You have to, A, be conscious, you have to be paying attention, you can't be drunk, you have to be listening,
right.
You have to be appreciative, you have to have your mind open, and real good stand-up comedy truly is, here's the world through my eyes, and that's what Bill was doing. He was expressing what he thought was wrong with the world, his frustrations, his interpretations of things, and it was brilliant,
Yeah. Wow, that's one of the better assessments I've heard of it. Jeez.
Well, that's really what it is, man.
Yeah.
It's stand-up comedy is thoughts. It's a very precarious road to go down to try to make a point. And I think Bill probably did it better than anybody. I think personally, in my opinion, he did that kind of comedy better than anybody.
Yeah, he was skilled. It was good, man. But
well, he did it, but man, let me tell you something, bro. I saw that guy live a bunch of times, and especially in Boston, he fucking bombed. He used to bomb hard, and you know what? We would see him. He went on after this comic. This is a really funny story. He went on after this comic in Boston, and this to me was really how a guy like that influenced me. Not so much as his material, which I thought was brilliant and which inspired me, but his accepting of what people thought of him. He went on after this fucking hack. This guy did all these jokes about like cartoon characters smoking pot and buying tampons, price check. He did all that shit. He was a fucking hackosaurus rex. I mean, this guy just went on stage with a machete and just started swinging at every obvious premise, and cops coming to your car with powdered donuts, on their fucking lips, all that shit. And the guy killed. Everybody loved him. Packed house at Nick's Comedy Stop in Boston. Hicks goes on after him, and I mean clears the fucking room. Clears the room. At the end of his set, there's maybe 50 people left in the audience. Probably not even. But me and 5 other comics are in the back, and we are fucking crying. We're howling. And he didn't care the whole time. He was doing this bit about how John Davidson is really the devil, or Dick Clark is the devil, and he fucks John Davidson in the ass, and John Davidson gives birth, John Davidson in the off season he swells up and shits out Oprah Winfrey, or it was either Oprah Winfrey or Geraldo Rivera, whatever it was at the time. I've seen him do the bit a bunch of times. He changes it around, but he's doing this shit thing where he's like squatting over the bowl as John Davidson grunting. And I'm talking for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
2 solid minutes. He's just sitting there going, and just keeps doing it. And he looks up in the middle of it while people are getting up and goes, yeah, generally this is where I clear the room. And we were fucking howling. Because people can pretend that they don't care, but when someone really doesn't care, it's very funny. And he didn't care, man. He had to say what he wanted to say, and he knew it was funny, and he knew that these people were just ignorant and sloppy and whatever, and he didn't care.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It was brilliant.
Wow, man. You're really hitting it on the head, I must say, man. I've been working on this book with Kevin for almost a year now, and
hey, dude, please quote me, man.
There's very few people who don't like reiterate the same old, Bill told the truth. And
yeah, because people are fucking dopes, dude. Let me tell you something. They don't even really think that. They're fucking sheep. Most people who talk to you, they don't even give you their opinion. They give you this conglomeration of other people's opinions they've adopted. You tell someone that someone's a genius, like, genius, like this fucking Andy Kaufman bullshit. Let me tell you something about Andy Kaufman and this fucking stupid movie that they put out, which I saw, which is actually a good movie. But it's wrong. The guy was not funny. He was an asshole. Only in Hollywood do you take a guy who's funny, like Jim Carrey, and make him play a guy who was never fucking funny. Andy Kaufman was never funny. This is what he used to do. He used to go on stage, and he used to do shit that wasn't funny where the audience expected him to be funny. Like, oh, he's brilliant. See, he would go on stage, do his first comedy show, he would read a book. That's only funny if you were ever funny to begin with. That's like a fighter who's lost 50 fights, and he's like, well, if I wanted to win, I could win. I choose not to win. It's bullshit. He's like the father of this fucking bullshit alternative comedy movement, which most of it fucking sucks. Most of these guys are really bad comedians who bombed in the clubs, and then all of a sudden they're in this environment where it's like ultra supportive, like, they're around a bunch of their friends or a bunch of other fellow artists who think they're supposed to laugh at all these brilliant, witty, obscure references that they make, and they think this is great. Well, Andy Kaufman was the founder of this shit, and the guy was really nuts. That's what was wrong with him. He was nuts and he was an asshole, but people all of a sudden they think he's brilliant. I read Jim Carrey interviewed his wife, or his girlfriend, whatever, and she said, and Jim Carrey said, what was the real Andy like? And she goes, I didn't know. I never knew the real Andy. Well, why'd you let him fuck you? What, you had a good Elvis impersonation, so you fucking threw your legs open like a welcome mat? What the fuck is that? You're dumber than he is. Like, what is that? Like, but everybody hops on this fucking bandwagon. Oh, he was brilliant. He was brilliant. Andy Kaufman was brilliant. No, he wasn't brilliant. Bill Hicks was brilliant. He was brilliant because it was all real. He wasn't brilliant because it was a trick. He was brilliant because he had really brilliant ideas, and he expressed himself in this daring manner, where he really took him. He would say things that, like, I've always studied Eastern philosophy, because I've done martial arts since I was a little kid, and I don't know if you read my bio, but I used to teach martial arts for a living. That's what I used to teach Taekwondo. I taught at Boston University, and I had my own school, and that's what I did before I became a comedian. And one of the things that I was always fascinated by, with martial arts was Zen ideology and Zen philosophy, and the ability to really control your mind and control your environment and to see things clearly and objectively. Because one of the most important things as a fighter is to be able to see things for what they truly are. You have to be able to completely objectively analyze your abilities. Otherwise, you're going to be in danger. If you think you're a lot better than you are and you go in there and you fight someone who is better than you, you're going to get your ass kicked. You have to really know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and that's the only way you can improve and grow. And what martial arts really are is it's a vehicle to grow. And what martial arts really are is it's a vehicle for developing your human potential. People look at it as a way to learn how to fight, but you learn how to you fight yourself, really. But one of the things that I learned while I was doing all this, learned in martial arts, is that one of the things that is repeated over and over again in various forms of Eastern philosophy and Eastern religion is that we're all one consciousness. And I've always believed that, and I've always believed in karma, and I've always believed in the universal soul. But I've never heard anybody express it in stand-up before, and when I heard him express it, I'm like, wow, what a daring thing to do. Because here's a guy who's taking this on, he's talking about that the only true God is love, and I believe that too, but he's doing it, and he's doing it in a stand-up form, and that was truly groundbreaking to me. You know, that takes a lot of balls to do, especially to do it in front of a drunken audience, and you know, people who, you know, they look at you and they might be, you know, it's weird to be a comic anyway because men get kind of weirded out, like, yeah, I'm funny too, you know, and people get, you know, people get jealous, people get strange, people get weird at you, you know, expressing your opinions. But you know, when he would do this stuff, you know, that was truly brilliant. That was truly original.
It's just a ride. It's just a ride.